morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Fullerton on this glorious Sunday morning. My name is Amanda Sokola, and I'm a practitioner and board member here at the center. And if you will join me, we'll read together. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. And so for a few announcements, tomorrow in the evening at 7 p.m. is the virtual book club. This is with Sally and myself, and there's a Zoom link that will be emailed out tomorrow morning from Tomoko. So look for that if you're interested. Next Sunday, we'll be having the practitioner installation and rededication ceremony, and there's a potluck lunch going to be also occurring. So if you're wanting to bring something for that, there's a sign-up sheet in the back. Next thing is the virtual Panda Express fundraiser. That's also coming up this month, September 22nd. And there'll be more information about how to do that in the email that you get on Wednesdays. If you don't have email, then let Tomoko know, and she'll make sure that you get the information you need. Unexpected Income Club that we have continues to grow, and through the prosperity and the generosity of our members, that's fabulous. We're over $12,000 right now. Yay. I know, that's great. And lastly, we're also looking to get started on some Science of Mind class work. And you may want to understand more about metaphysics, and this might be something of interest for you. If you are interested, please let Tomoko know. You can sign up in the back if you're here, or give her a phone call. Reverend Bill and Tomoko will be arranging different types of classes, and once they know what they all are, they'll publish that for everyone. So at this time, let's welcome Carol Riseling back as she brings our service into prayer.
I invite you all to just join with me as we turn within, and simply knowing that that one power, that one presence, that loving energy that we call God is right here, right now, within each one of us. And that we are all one with this loving presence. We are one and connected with each other here and with those at home that are watching. And it is from this place of oneness that I bless our service this morning. I know it is whole, perfect, and complete. And it is handled by so many wonderful people. We bless and thank everyone who has a job to do here. We bless the practitioners, the board of trustees, those who work in the office, those who prepare the coffee fellowship, the junior church, the teachers and the children. And we just bless and thank each and every musician that comes through for their wonderful touch. They add so much to our service. And I just say thank you to everyone who's here today, and I know that as we go forward in this community, we share our love and blessings wherever we go. And we're grateful and thankful to be together as we celebrate love, peace, and joy. I know it's already a beautiful service and already done, and so it is.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
I'm Carol Riseling, a practitioner here at our center, and I've selected a reading from the book For the Inward Journey, and this is the writings of Reverend Howard Thurman, and he was born actually in 1900, and he ended up living his life as a minister, and he was ended up having the first interracial church in San Francisco. He was also taught many years at Howard University, and it's really a great book. I found out about this book years ago. Reverend Annette introduced me to it. And this is called I Will Not Give Up. It was above the timberline. The steady march of the forest had stopped as if some invisible barrier had been erected beyond which no trees dared move, even in single file. Beyond was barrenness, sheer rocks, snow patches, and strong, untrampled winds. Here and there were short tufts of evergreen bushes that had somehow managed to survive despite the severe pressures under which they had to live. They were not lush. They lacked the kind of grace of the vegetation below the timberline, but they were alive and hardy. Upon close investigation, however, it was found that these were not ordinary shrubs. The formation of the needles was identical with that of the trees farther down. As a matter of fact, they looked like branches of the other trees. When one actually examined them, the astounding revelation was that they were branches. For hugging the ground, following the shape of the terrain, were trees that could not grow upright, following the pattern of their kind. Instead, they were growing as vines grow along the ground, and what seemed to be patches of stunted shrubs were rows of branches of growing and developing trees. What must have been the tortuous frustration and the stubborn battle that had finally resulted in this strange phenomenon? It was as if the tree had said, I am destined to reach for the skies and embrace in my arms the wind, the rain, the snow, and the sun, singing my song of joy to all the heavens. But this I cannot do. I have taken root beyond the timberline, and yet I do not want to die. I must not die. I shall make a careful survey of my situation and work out a method, a way of life that will yield growth and development for me despite the contradictions under which I must eke out my days. And in the end, I may not look like the other trees. I may not be what all that is within me cries out to be, but I will not give up. I will use to the full every resource in me and about me to answer life with life. And in so doing, I shall affirm that this is the kind of universe that sustains upon demand the life that is in it. And so I wonder if I dare to act even as the tree acts. I wonder. Do you? And now let us pray. And knowing and sensing that God is the one source, that loving, guiding presence, that life and that divine wisdom that is within us, that allows us to grow wherever we may be. For we are one and we are made in that image and likeness of God. And we express life in many different forms and ways. And recognizing this, I trust that we are able to handle and accomplish any situation that may occur in our lives. We live completely unified with our source. There is no separation and cannot be. For we are one with the power and the grace and the love that we share with Spirit. And we are free to express this on our life journey. And with a grateful heart, I release this prayer knowing it is already handled in the mind of God. And it's already done, and so it is.
The Christ in you, hear the life of God I see. I can see a great peace too. I can see you whole and free. The Christ in you, I can see this as you are. I see this in all you do. I can see this as you talk. Behold the Christ in you. I can see that perfect one, led by God in all you do. I can see God's work is done.
Wow. The amazing Michael Whitney, backed up by the incredible Richard O'Hara, taking care of our musical needs this morning in Tommy Ness's. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Here we are, continuing our series of talks about the big picture. And the title of today's talk, of course, is someplace we're all familiar with. Well, actually, it's beyond that. It's beyond wit's end. So just think about it for a minute. Have you ever been at your wit's end? Now that's a horrible question. It'd be easier to ask, have you ever not been at your wit's end? because we've all been there, done that kind of thing. A wit's end. Well, you had a situation that try as you may, I mean, use all your mental resources, everything you've ever known, everything you've learned, everything you've heard, everything you've talked about, everything you've studied, everything your intelligence, and everything that your common sense will allow you to do. Common sense, by the way, being just what it sounds like. It's our individualized use, individually and collectively, of that big giant cosmic capital S sense that is that one mind intelligence. But the common use of it is what we do here. Speaking of constricted, I dare say that our individualized use of this sense is kind of restrictive all by itself. But when all of that fails, and even your imagination, your wildest dreams, and your perspectives can't give you vision, or not vision, you have the vision, but it can't give you the way to get out of whatever that situation or predicament or circumstance is. Think about this for a second, because remember, we've all been at our wits' end. Everybody admitted to that. I'm going to hold you to it. So we've all been at our wits' end. Are we still there? No. Because eventually we did something to get beyond being at our wits' end. And what we did was we did nothing. We just stopped because we couldn't do it anyway. And what happened? It got done. It got solved. It got handled. We got our way through that, over that speed bump, beyond that impossible wall that seemed like at the time. And we did it because we just allowed that power and presence that's bigger by far than we are to take us over that hurdle. Isn't that what happened? So we have to get to the point, in any circumstance that seems untoward to us, we have to get to the point of recognizing and realizing and accepting the fact that we do not have the power. We have access to the power, and sometimes we access that by our intention, because it is our intention that drives the energy. You know, we usually say my energy. Once again, it's not my energy. It's my ability to use that energy of God, that energy of life, that one power, that force, that life-giving and sustaining thing that allows all things to happen. And once I give way to that and accept it as being in charge, even though I'm directing it, although sometimes I have to stop directing and just allow it to direct itself. But once we realize that, then we have the wherewithal to get past these seemingly insurmountable kinds of problems. If you're here for the meditation, then you heard Carol talking, well, she was quoting Ernest Holmes, who was quoting Jesus, as saying that the door to heaven is always open. But it's our readiness to walk through that door that makes stuff happen. So the possibility is always there. We live in an infinite field of possibilities. There's nothing that is not possible. But when we do something, we're not doing it because we created the power that gets it done. That power is always there. It's already there and it's always there. And ours is to direct it. We don't want to waste our time trying to produce it. But we have to do our part. It's like the two friends, and one was just, God, at his wit's end, was in this problem, couldn't get out of, couldn't figure a way through it. And his other friend says, well, you got two hands, why don't you do something? He says, I'm wringing them both. I'm not sure that that's the absolute solution, but the fact is we have to be involved. We have to be involved sometimes by just laying back and saying, okay, God, this is on you, babe. I can't do this. And when we can do that, we have opened that door. And sometimes I think we don't walk through it as much as we just stand there and it comes over us. It just brings us into that other room. It just invites us in. Somewhere along the line in your life, must be because in my life I know it's the case, but somewhere along the line you had something going on and you couldn't quite sort it out, but you did something, and you did something amazing. Think about that. You had a situation. You don't know how you did it. You don't know how it happened. But you did something amazing that got you out of it. Don't we wish we could tap into that instantly instead of going through all the rest of the nonsense, through all the worry and all this stuff? But when you did that something amazing, did you have all the answers first? No, because all our answers did was bring us up to this block wall. But when we said, get in here, God, suit up, go in for Bill. And the next play was a miracle. It was a miracle because it went beyond our normal perception and understanding of how things can happen. And that is, of course, because we don't have all the answers. We don't have the perception. We don't know everything that's going on. The smartest person that ever existed didn't know everything that was going on. And people have known this forever. I mean, they're probably 99% of the people who come through the planet, who come through this existence, never get that understanding. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's not that they don't get that understanding, but they don't get it and use it to the point where it does, on demand, perform those miracles consciously. I mean, we had Lao Tzu and we had Buddha and Muhammad and Jesus, and they did great work with that stuff. And we understand that. That's why I say I backed up from the we don't understand. We understand they did that. And we want to do it. But I guess maybe it's just a question of how much do you want? Because we find as we go through life and we overcome these hurdles that sometimes things that seemed impossible, things that we couldn't see beyond at our wits' end, happened because we just wanted and needed and believed so much that it was going to happen somehow. A miracle is going to happen. Have you ever asked for a miracle? We all have. Sometimes those miracles come true. They happen. They manifest. And sometimes they don't. And you would think that generally if they don't, one of two things has happened. One, wasn't in the cards for us. There was something better coming. You know, what's that song? Sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. Because what if we got stuck in what we thought we wanted at that point in our time, in our life, and it turns out that that wasn't anywhere near what we were capable of or worthy of or deserving of or ready to accept. Remember, it's all about readiness. But it's our intention that drives our energy. And the other reason why it might not take effect is we didn't have as much intention as we thought. Remember, it's not necessarily conscious intention. Well, it is. But conscious, remember, includes subconscious. So if we're not getting there, maybe we need to introspect and say, you know, really? Do I have enough me, and have I let in enough God to support this intention? Is this really where I'm heading? And if not, maybe you need to kind of step aside and wait for the real McCoy to step in, because it's coming. Everything in life we're ever going to want or need is coming. It's just a matter of us being ready for it and able to recognize and accept it. And sometimes we just let our inadequacies, our feeling of inadequacy, because none of us is inadequate, but our feelings of that to get in the way. There were 2 cows in a field, and a milk truck drove by. And on the side of the milk truck it says, homogenized, pasteurized, reinforced, vitamin A added. And the one cow just sighed and looked at the other and says, makes you feel kind of inadequate, doesn't it? Sometimes we think that we need something added to us because we're inadequate. We don't need anything added to us. What we need is stuff subtracted from us. What we need is the conditioning of this world subtracted from us. Now, we have pathologies. I'm not talking about medically, I'm talking about social pathologies, little variances, little deviances, little quirks that we have had to adopt for survival. Okay? When we were that cute little bundle of joy, remember, we were 100% pure love. That's how we came. That's what we came as. But then as life unfolds in front of us, these things come up that can really, truly, in our infancy, in our emotional and mental immaturity, these things come up that can hurt us. So what do? We put on little bits of armor. Okay, we omit something when we're talking to somebody like in authority or power, or somebody who might not use that information in the manner we think is best. In other words, might use it against us. I'm not sure you've ever known anybody like that. But we omit things, or we kind of tweak things a little bit, or we say something that sounds better than what the truth is, or we embellish a little bit. I mean, we all do this. And those are pathologies, and they're just bits of armor that we pile on, and we pile them on because we have to. If we don't do that as a child, because that's when it starts, and I'm not sure what age, but I'm pretty sure it starts early, 2, 3, 4 years old, we start putting on this armor, because that's when life on this planet begins to have its effect on us. And it protects us. It gets us through. It allows us to get to that point in our development, in our spiritual development, where we are free to understand and to recognize and to accept our spirituality, our awakening. Then, once it's done its job, the armor, then we can let it go. I don't think it's quite as easy as getting in front of a mirror and taking off one piece of armor at a time. You've got to put on one piece at a time. I mean, I think that's the way it is. We can't get there and just throw the whole thing off, not many of us. So we take it off one little bit at a time, and we finally get back to that point where we have the worldly knowledge we've needed to navigate successfully on this planet, but we also now have the spiritual maturity to understand how it is that we came to be here, what our purpose is, and how it is that we can handle the world. What's that saying? We can be in the world but not of it. We're in the world. We're likely not going to change that intentionally, likely. But we don't have to be of it. We don't have to be victim to those things that the conditioning of the world put on us. You know, Bob Dylan had a song. Don't want to date myself, but I think it was somewhere in the mid-60s. It's called, "It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding." Okay? That was not a big commercial hit, but it was, God, it was full of wondrous little sayings. And it was so important to Dylan that he sang that at every performance he gave. And yet it never got any kind of commercial airplay or anything. It never became what you call, you know, like a big hit. But one of the lines he said was, money doesn't talk. Because remember the saying at the time was, well, money talks and, you know, BS walks. And his line was, money doesn't talk, it swears. Because this song was a counterculture song against consumerism and against the war machine and against being stifled and held down and against one group throwing their philosophy and their thinking and their ideology over everybody else. And if you weren't part of that, well, you're going to hell. I guess nothing much has changed since then.
Right.
In a lot of instances. But what he said was, he not busy living is busy dying. Or you could say he, if you make more sense to you. He who is not busy living is busy dying. That's because we all have to know that in spite of all the stuff that's put on us in this world, we always have to be rebirthing, reinventing ourselves. We have to be bringing our awareness ever forward into more of a spirituality than a must-do basis. Remember, it's like the first half of our life, we're building that container who we are. First half of our life, we're absorbing things, putting things into our being that allow us to function. The second half of our life is understanding which of those things no longer serve us and getting rid of it. And we don't have to worry about throwing the good out with the bad, do we?
No.
Because there is no possibility of loss of good.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, we might misplace it.
Correct.
You know, we might throw a raincoat over it. We might lose sight of it, but it's not gone. Our good is always there, and it's always available, and it's waiting for us. Sometimes if you're real quiet, you can hear it calling to you. Bill, where are you? I'm here, come and get me. We cannot lose good. So when we start discarding things, we're not discarding things because they weren't good. We're discarding things because they no longer serve us. We have to give our intention, give our energy to those things that do, to those things that we need right now. In his book, Prosperity, Charles Fillmore said, in the great mind of God, there's no thought of lack. And there should not be in your mind either. So he was talking about prosperity. But there's no difference. In the great mind of God, there not only is no thought of lack, there's no thought of limitation. We think limitation. Life doesn't think limitation. Look at the reading earlier. The tree. There's no limitation. When life wants to grow and develop, Can we stop it?
No.
No. You know, it's kind of part of the hubris of man thinking that we can control nature. Look around. We can help it, and we can kind of pick and choose those parts of nature that we want to nurture and nourish. But the fact is, all the rest of nature is going to come along anyway, whether we nurture and nurture it or not. Because that's what life does. Life keeps on living. And it never ends. It never ends. So we might get to that point where we can't see a solution to a problem, when we are at our wits' end, and that's the time when we just need to get beyond that by saying, no, there is no limitation in life. If there's limitation, it's in me. I'm going to seek it out, and I'm going to give it the boot. I'm done with limitation. My call is to get involved or to get uninvolved, whichever the need calls for, and allow nature and life to take its course. So the wife said to the husband, why are you always worrying all the time? You're constantly worrying. You're worrying all the time. And worrying has never helped anything. And he says, well, of course it helps. 95% of what I worried about never happened. That's probably why it didn't happen, because I spent all that time worrying about it. And we've had this happen before. We either develop self-awareness, awareness of this small self and its position in that large self, or we continue to labor under the conditions of the world. Which do we want? Do we want to get to our wits' end? Well, nobody ever got up in the morning and said, God, this would be a great day to get to my wits' end. Let me see if I can find something to help me pull that off. But again, remember, part of us is human, or at least part of us is pretending to be human. All of us is pretending to be human. And because of that, we're going to run into certain times when we think that we're limited. But we're not. What we have to do is we have to recognize, remember the master teacher, Jesus said this too. He said, not I, but the Father within doeth the work. And lots of time, isn't it great to take credit for something when something really amazing happens? Something marvelous happens, and everybody says, oh, you did such a great job. God, you're so smart. How did you ever pull that off? Oh, I wish I could do that. And of course, the natural impulse is, yeah, I'm the man or woman. Yeah, I did that. Sorry, you didn't do that. You only stood back long enough and allowed that living presence within you to do that through you. Because everything we do, everything we manifest, everything we demonstrate, everything we develop, anything we're going to ever further is because that one power and one presence has worked through us, has blessed us, you might say. Well, I think I'm going to bless you this morning, Bill. I'm going to give an opportunity for something really good to come through you. And just sit back, keep your hands off it, because what's that saying? Hello, this is God. I'll be making your day today. Don't need your help. The only time we get in trouble is when we try to help. If we just stand back a little bit and say, you know what? Again, every prayer should be thank you, God. It should be gratitude. Thank you for allowing that to happen through me. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this amazing development that we call life. And thank you for allowing me to see that that very same process of power that's in me is in everybody else I'm going to have to meet. And when I can look at another face, even especially in the face of somebody who's doing something I don't like, and say to myself, I love this person because I see the God in this person, in spite of what he or she's doing right now. Because that's something we handle on a personal, human level. But on the cosmic level, once we understand that that love of God is coming through every face we ever look at, somewhere, if we can't see it, is that God's fault? No, that's our limitation. And if we can't say it, I dare say at that point, we are at our wits' end, whether we realize it or not. We need to just back off and say, okay, God, get in here and do that work. Come through me right now, radiate out into everybody I ever going to meet. So let's just take that into prayer. Let's just know that as we navigate this life, this planet, this plane of existence, we do so knowing that it is not us who does the work. Just knowing that all the amazing things, all the wonderful things, all the beautiful things that happen because life, nature, spirit has caused them to happen. And let's just enjoy the fact that we get to be part of this. That we know that God manifests in, as, and through each one of us. And that all the potential, all the possibility, all the love, all the value that is ever going to be is available right now, this second, right here in this place. Whenever that second is and wherever that place is. All we have to do is open ourselves to it and be grateful for it. So it's knowing this, that with grateful heart, I just say, thank you, God. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this life. Thank you for this amazing experience of allowing you to unfold through me for the world to see. I just let this word go, knowing that it is so, knowing that it is the case, and knowing that it will eternally be. And together we say, and so it is. Let's just take a moment to realize that this is our opportunity to share our abundance. We know that all of our good comes from the one source, God, and for this we are grateful. Take a minute to thank everybody for their gifts, their tithes, their offering. Not just those of us here in the sanctuary, but those who are watching this on video. And thank you so much for your continued support. If you're not able or willing or feel the call to come in person, that's fine. We thank you for your continued support through the website and by auto tithing and mail and stopping by and visiting Tomoko. So let's just know right now that we bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing they come from the central core of who we are, which is God made manifest on this plane. We send them forward to do their good work in this community and in the world. And so it is.
Want to get shocked again? Shana Tova. Anybody knows what that means? It's Happy New Year. I have had the distinct pleasure of singing at a temple in South Orange County called Temple Beth El. And we had Rosh Hashanah Eve and Rosh Hashanah. Next week I'll be doing Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur. This song that I'm going to sing for you right now is called Hashkebenu. And Hashkebenu is done in the evening service. And basically the translation is, grant, O eternal God, that we may lie down in peace and wake renewed. Hashkebenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Hamidenu Shomrenu Lechayi. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom. Venu Shomrenu Lechayi. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom. V'hanitenu Shomrenu Lechayi. Lechayi.
Michael Whitney and Richard O'Hara are making beautiful music in any language. I don't know, maybe in every language. And let's just know this together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's happening in my mind.
It's happening in my mind.
Happening in my body.
It's happening in my body.
Happening in my heart.
It is happening in my heart.
There's nothing I cannot do.
There's nothing I cannot do.
I am happy for this.
I am happy for this.
I'm thankful for this.
I am thankful for this.
And I say,
And I say,
thank you, God, in me.
thank you, God, in